Rachel has the same gross stuff that we do. Rachel takes fat, nasty shits every single day, just like us.
Rachel takes fat, nasty ogre shit in her swamp, just like the rest of us.
I'm gonna read this dramatically. It was dark out, and I decided to let that gas out of my body. No one was around to be disturbed by it, and it was certainly disturbing me as it danced along my colon. But when nothing happened, I did the lean! You know what I'm talking about, right? When you're concerned that your gas might be trapped inside your butt cheeks, because the way you're sitting is holding them together in a vice death grip, and then you lean over to one cheek to alleviate the butt cheek seal, and then you push again.
We were seated at a table. We ordered a bottle of wine. I hope you're not one of those girls who's afraid to eat on a date. Mila.
Rude, okay? So this date starts off with Rachel going to a restaurant with this guy who says, I hope you're not one of those girls who's afraid to eat on a date. And Rachel, because she is so #relatable and so not like other girls, decides that she's going to eat half of an entire pizza in front of him just to prove to him that she's not like other girls. So when Rachel eats a pizza to prove that she's not like other girls, it's cool. When Pam does it, it means we can't trust her. I'm glad we've covered it.
9 years ago, when Rachel started her company Chic Events, she had an advantage on the competition. It wasn't celebrity connections or big bankroll, it was her traditional Bakersfield upbringing. I was a lot more grounded than most people, she said. While other planners were chasing the latest trend or trying to stay ahead of fads, Rachel focused on what she learned growing up as a minister's daughter in a hospitable home.
I still don't like tuna canned in oil, but I've eaten it twice this week because all your capital T truths and must-haves were really only ever preferences. Rachel, you're rich as hell. Why are you eating canned tuna if you don't want it?
Rachel is trying so hard to make herself #relatable.
Rachel is trying so hard to make herself #relatable.
#relatable. What is it about me that made you think I want to be relatable?
What's up, my fellow small business supporters? It's Savvy, your gay aunt from the 80s, and today I am here to thank you all so much for your patience, because I know everyone was waiting for me to put out this video that covered everything going on with Rachel Hollis this past Monday, but I was like, y'all, I gotta break this into two parts, because here's what happened, right? A live stream came out, she revealed what happened to the rescue dog, so I focused on that, I made that, I got that video ready to go. I also saw a very problematic Instagram story that she put out, and then the next day, she releases this TikTok that is a hot fucking mess, dude. Trying to cover it all in one video, and I was like, no, there's no way. This TikTok itself, this like 30-second TikTok needs its own separate video. So that is what we are going to focus on today. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the TikTok point by point. Before we go too deep into it though, I just want to let everyone know that in the description below, I have linked a bunch of other creators who have been calling her out on what she's been talking about in this TikTok. Specifically, there's a podcast called Check Your Privilege, which has done a couple of episodes on Rachel Hollis before, and they always do a fantastic job on that podcast, but they have been doing multiple live streams on Instagram to respond to this TikTok and to talk about the best ways to move forward and what kind of damage she's done based on what she said in there. So I will link them in the description below and put their links for everything. You definitely want to check out that podcast. Thank you guys so much for covering this topic. I would say I can't believe it, but like, I can. Anyway, I will run my funny, somewhat not safe for work introduction. Don't worry, it's not actually not safe for work. It's just a bunch of memes.
Get you some nuts.
My girl comes twice a week.
They're gonna lick some nuts.
Hold up. Spit in my mouth.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome to my channel for the first time. I'm Savvy, this is Savvy Writes Books. On this channel, we talk about books and business. That's why we also talk about Rachel Hollis, because we review her books, we review her business training materials, and we talk about what a big scam it all is. So the first thing that we're going to do is take a look at the TikTok that Rachel herself posted. We're going to kind of go through it piece by piece, and then we're going to take a look at some articles that have been written about the stuff that she's been up to recently. We're going to look at some creators who have reacted to this, and we're going to talk about how what she's done in this TikTok doesn't make a lot of sense and is very inconsistent with her brand and kind of shows that maybe she was just rusing all of us all along, but who's really surprised about that? Anyway, today's video was brought to you by my Patreon supporters. Thank you so much to everyone who has supported this channel. I will link all of my Patreon supporters who are $5 and up in the description below, because they all have their own websites or channels or small businesses linked down below, so you'll want to check them out and show them some love as well. Also, make sure you check out the second channel called Your Morning Guru, where my friend RK and I live the life of a different business or self-help or MLM guru or something like like that for a week at a time. We actually did a Rachel Hollis week where we drank some gross green smoothies and woke up at 5 a.m. and pretended to take our kids to school. It was wild. Anyway, check that all out. Linked in the description below. This is the TikTok that is the equivalent. You guys remember like last summer when Shane Dawson did that whole Instagram live where he was like yelling and screaming about shit, and that was like, then D'Angelo Wallace put up that video that was like the exact moment Shane Dawson's career ended, right? This TikTok is the equivalent of that right here.
Okay, yesterday I was doing a live stream and I mentioned that there's a sweet woman who comes to my house twice a week and cleans. She's my house cleaner. She cleans the toilets.
I don't think anyone had a problem with you having a housekeeper because, like I've said before, I would love at some point to be able to afford to have someone to come and clean, not just because I'm not very good at cleaning, but also because a lot of cleaning services are small business owners themselves. A lot of them are small businesses that we want to support as well. So if you can afford to pay someone to do a great job cleaning your house, and that's a skill set that they're really good at and they want to be doing, and you have a different skill set that's something you're really good at and you want to be doing, and you can support each other in that way, absolutely. I think pretty much everyone agrees on that. I think it's kind of weird that right here she is like, she cleans my toilets. Like, what does that have to do with anything? Like, yeah, I assumed that if she's cleaning your whole house, the toilet's part of the house, but like, why would you phrase that as she cleans my toilets? I didn't know if that was meant to be like a joke or something. I really don't get what she was going for with that. A lot of people have pointed out that by focusing on the toilets, which she's going to keep focusing on the toilets here over and over again, it almost makes it sound like she's trying to reduce this person to the grossest of the tasks. I feel like when you talk about like the toilet, a lot of people are like, yeah, the toilet's the most disgusting part of the house because you poop in the toilet, guys, right? The toilet's nasty. You take your nasty fat ogre shits in the toilet. And so she's probably, a lot of people thought that she was probably trying to be like, yeah, I don't have to clean my own nasty, shitty toilet. Someone else does that for me. So that's kind of what it sounded like. So it really does, like, a house cleaner is going to do so much more than that, right? They're going to organize things. They're going to dust things. They're going to keep the floors nice. And also, you know, there are different cleaners with different specialties. Sometimes you might hire someone who's a professional organizer to organize the clothes in your closets or to organize your cabinets. You might hire someone whose specialty is like deep cleaning the floors and the tiles and things like that. You might have someone that you hire that is specialized in all of that, and that's great. But focusing on the toilets here is weird. Anyway, continue, Rachel.
Someone commented and said, "You are privileged AF." And I was like, you're right. I'm super freaking privileged, but
yeah, okay, well, at least she's acknowledging it. And I think it's good to acknowledge that. I had a section in my book, Savvy Business Owner, which, guys, the tagline to Savvy Business Owner, if you hated Girl Stop Apologizing, you'll love Savvy Business Owner. Shameless plug. Anyway, in that book, I basically talked about how I did a whole chapter, a whole section actually called The Myths of Boss Babe Life. That was the last section in the book after I talked about all the ways that I, like all the specific things I did to start up my own business, Forever Home Friends. Then in the last section, it was called Myths of Boss Babe Life, because I felt like a lot of self-help books really perpetuate a lot of these hustle culture type of myths that don't really make a lot of sense. Either that, or they try to perpetuate the opposite myth, which is that maybe you want to start a business so you can have more free time with your family, which is like, that is a pipe dream, dude. So I wrote a section about that. And in one of the sections, it was called The Myth, Hard Work is All You Need, and The Truth, Hard Work Isn't Always Enough. And in that section, I tried to talk a little bit about the ideas of luck and privilege and how those things are going to be a part of everyone's life in different ways. So if it's like, I'm super privileged, and she's admitting it, which is good, when she goes into what she means by privileged here, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Because if we want to look at how Rachel's career went, first of all, I want to make it very clear, I have always had respect for the fact that she built a party planning business. You know, my mom was a professional event planner for a while, and my mom and I have done events together for my business, Forever Home Friends, and it's been great. So I understand the work that goes into that, and I've always been very admiring of her for setting that up. But you have to remember at the same time, she first got her start by being a party planner for celebrities. How did she meet celebrities? Well, she, you know, got in with a Disney executive named Dave, right? And he introduced her to those connections. So there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being like, yeah, I fucked a Disney executive. I know she married him. I phrased it that way because if you're allowed to phrase it as, this woman cleans my toilets, I'm allowed to phrase it as, you fucked a Disney exec to get to the top. Why not? She usually doesn't address that though. And I think it's because, you know, when you're a self-help person, you want everyone to think that if they follow your coaching, if they follow your step-by-step formula, no matter where they started, no matter what their circumstances, they will achieve your level of success. But it completely leaves out elements of luck. So, was Rachel lucky that she fucked a Disney exec? Yeah, she was lucky, dude. And that's what I wrote about in Savvy Business Owner. I was like, here's how we could frame Savvy's life, right? We could frame my life as Savvy was born to a low-income Polish single mother from the south side of Chicago. And then at age 23, Savvy bought a home and started her own successful business. Could we say that as my life story and would it all be accurate? Absolutely. But are we leaving things out in there? Yes. Are we leaving out the bits of luck that I came into along the way? Are we leaving out the bits of luck when I married someone whose family had a lot of resources? That was luck. That was luck. I didn't achieve that. That was luck, guys. Luck happens in everybody's life. Everybody has luck. Everybody has privilege. And those things happen in different ways. So it's not necessarily a bad thing to acknowledge that, because I was even very clear in that chapter, like, when I say that I ran into bits of luck in my life, that's not to say if you feel like you're an unlucky person, you should just give up because it'll never happen. Because that is absolutely not the truth. You can be motivational and acknowledge that you had bits of luck and privilege in your life along the way too. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I don't know why she's not open about it and forthcoming, because her whole brand is like, I'm an open book. I'm so open about everything. I'm open about the fact that I have a nanny, that I have a housekeeper, whatever. Great. You're not open about the fact that you did have a massive head start by getting a wealthy ass husband, dude. You gotta be honest about that. Let's continue.
I worked my ass off to have the money, to have someone come twice a week and clean my toilets.
Good for you. No one had a problem with you being a hard worker and having a house cleaner. No one had a problem with that. I'm still focusing on the toilets. Why the toilet?
And I told her that. And then she said, well, you're unrelatable.
Yeah. Rachel is pretty unrelatable.
What is it about me that made you think I want to be relatable?
Okay, wait, why does she, look like she's about to murder me? Like, the way she said that kind of sounded like a threat. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just, bad acting in the moment or something, but, did anyone else feel like that was a threat? Anyway, she's like, what is it about me that makes you think I want to be relatable? Is that a real question? Her whole brand was based on being relatable. When she did her documentary, Made for More, that I reacted to while playing a drinking game, she explicitly said the whole point of her conference is she wants to show other women that she's just like them, that she does the same weird and gross stuff that all of them do. And that's when she talked about how after her pregnancy, her boobs looked like they were tube socks filled with yogurt. I thought it was kind of funny use of figurative language, and I was like, all good with that. But that was definitely you trying to be relatable. In her book, Didn't See That Coming, she had a whole section about how the juice cleanse gave her the nastiest farts in the world. And then she talked about how the juice cleanse gave her nasty diarrhea, and when she went to have diarrhea, it shot out of her asshole like a missile. I'm sorry, is that not trying to be relatable? Is that not trying to be like, look, I'm so gross just like you. I have disgusting farts and disgusting shit out of my ass just like you. Like, how is that not trying to be relatable? She was explicitly doing that. Well, there's an entire article written on BuzzFeed about the book Girl Wash Your Face and how that book was based on the idea of curated imperfection. That article's written by Laura, covered it in another video that I did a collab with Camellia. I'll link it up in the cards, but she and I did a video where we compared Rachel Hollis and Shane Dawson and how both of them use this idea of curated imperfection to show off their flaws and almost hyperfixate on the things about them that are gross and that are just like you and that are so not real celebrity type of things, so that you would develop a parasocial relationship with them, and then after you develop that parasocial relationship, you would see them as your friend, someone you were friends with online, just a regular person, instead of seeing them as a celebrity. Because when you see a celebrity, when you see a politician, when you see someone who holds a lot of power, it's very easy to criticize them. But if someone's your friend, you don't want to criticize them. So a lot of people who are influencers online like to position themselves as if they're your friend, because then you feel guilty criticizing them. She built her whole fucking brand on that, dude. Dude, this feels like gaslighting. Like, sometimes I feel like people use that word incorrectly too often and throw it around, but this actually legitimately feels like gaslighting, right? The idea where you are intentionally trying to make someone question their reality, where she built an entire brand off of being relatable, and then turns around and is like, I never did that. Your memories of me trying to be relatable aren't real. I feel like she's admitting directly right here, my whole persona was a ruse this entire time.
Literally everything I do in my life is to live a life that most people can't relate to.
She's always like, I'm your big sister Rachel. I'm your good pal Rach. Like, she talks like that. She would specifically talk like that. Her first TikTok, I believe, was her being like, what's up? It's your big sister Rachel. Her book, Girl Wash Your Face, she had framed as like, I want you to see this book as like a good friend or an older sister just talking to you and giving you some advice. She explicitly said she was trying to be relatable.
Most people won't work this hard. Most people won't get up at 4 a.m.
What does getting up at 4 a.m. have to do with working hard? You know that people work very hard who work night shifts sometimes, so maybe they go to bed at 4 a.m. They don't wake up at 4 a.m. Why do you say wake up at 4 a.m. as if that is the mark? Like, because even if you woke up at 4 a.m., if you went to bed at like 8 p.m., then you still got 8 hours of sleep. If you went to bed earlier than that, you could have got more sleep. Like, waking up at 4 doesn't necessarily mean that you slept less or that you spent more time working. Like, if I go to bed at 6 p.m. and wake up at 4 a.m., I got 10 hours of sleep. And if I spent the other 14 hours of the day fucking around, playing video games on the couch, sure, I still woke up at 4 a.m. But, like, again, that's so dumb. And let me say, I lived Rachel Hollis's morning routine for a week. I followed it by 10-minute segments. I'll link the playlist up in the cards. I followed it by 10-minute segments, dude. Followed her exact morning routine. I still don't have someone to clean my house, so waking up at 4 a.m. and doing your morning routine is irrelevant here. Also, this is this weird idea that the amount of effort you put into your work directly correlates to how much money you're going to have. Y'all ever heard of the topic of survivorship bias? I believe it was during World War I. They were analyzing the airplanes, or like the planes that came back from combat, to see where the weakest points were in the planes, to see where the planes had gotten shot. And so based on where they had seen those planes get attacked, they were like, okay, these must be the weakest parts of the plane. The planes then didn't really improve any because they were only studying the planes that actually made it back. They weren't able to study the planes that were knocked down in the middle of combat. Does that make sense? So that's a whole thing we're talking about here. When we only study the success stories, when we only have access to the stories of the ones who were able to get past that hurdle in the first place, we have only that to study, and we don't get to see where the other conflicts and hurdles actually came in along the way.
People won't fail publicly again and again just to reach the top of the mountain.
You are failing publicly, so I'll give you that.
Literally, every woman I admire in history was unrelatable. If my life is relatable to most people, I'm doing it wrong.
She said every woman she admired in history is unrelatable, and then she lists right here the women that she admires in history. Let's look at these women. A lot of people have pointed out these women actually were pretty relatable in the sense that they started out as everyday women who rose to a place of initiative, who took initiative beyond everyone else for the sake of making a greater impact on society, for helping not just themselves, but for helping others. Let's look at this first example, Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman was born into slavery, escaped slavery, and then led tons of other people out of slavery, risking her life every single time to go back and help others escape. She was relatable to a lot of people, especially at that time, in the sense that she was dealing with the exact same struggles that a lot of other Black women were forced to face in that time period. And then she risked her own life to save other people. She is a hero for that. But to a lot of people who were living at that time, she was relatable. She was a regular person who did extraordinary things. Let's look at this example, Malala, who got shot for trying to go to school. Do I even need to explain how offensive this is? Also, you spelled Frida Kahlo's name wrong. Girl, get a proofreader. Rachel, what have you done that you're going to be remembered for on par with these women? It seems like the major contribution she had made so far was to motivate women, was to make women feel like they were empowered, that they could do something, and helping women overcome personal hurdles to get ahead in their business. But any of that small impact that she might have had back then completely obliterated with this rant where she's basically like, no, fans, people who have supported me, people who have paid for all my conferences and my books and everything, people who made me the success that I am. I don't want to be like you. I don't want to relate to you. God, that's gross. Damn, that is gross, dude. So here's an article on BuzzFeed about it, called Girl, Don't Call Me Relatable. Here we go. Rachel Hollis, toxic positivity enthusiast and Instagram self-help queen, on Wednesday released a TikTok rant that has a lot of people saying, what the F? In the TikTok, Hollis begins by complaining that a commenter called her privileged after Hollis mentioned in an Instagram live that a woman comes and cleans her toilets twice a week. Hollis admits her privilege, but says that she works her ass off for the money that she has. Let's talk real quick about this right here. Complaining that a commenter. Remember all of those multi-level marketing conferences that she was speaking at that I reacted to, when she would go up on stage and say, what other people think of you is none of your business. And she would take this to the extremes, and it would be like, oh, but what this person thinks about me is that my sister wants me to quit Arbonne because I'm losing thousands and thousands of dollars. And Rachel would be like, none of your business. Just cut your sister out. What anyone thinks of you is none of your business. And then she's, releasing the book Didn't See That Coming, talking about, I don't read the comments. Those are just strangers on the internet, despite the fact that she had built her entire career off of trying to create this parasocial relationship where she was our friend. The whole section where she's like, no, you're just strangers on the internet. I don't read the comments. I don't take criticism. Turns out you do read the comments, because you went on a whole ass rant about one comment that you got that made you mad for what reason? For what reason? It was one piece of criticism. Dude, I get tons of criticism every day. I get Grant Cardone stans coming into my comments telling me I should be more open to being stalked. I have anti-feminists coming into my comments to tell me that I'm ugly and have nasty looking teeth. I get this shit all the time. If you're making your money by putting yourself out there to the world, you're gonna get some negativity. And some of that negativity is going to be constructive. You can take that, you can look at it, you can reflect on it, and that's part of being a creator. And I've learned that as a writer, as a YouTuber, as everything. Part of being a creator is taking different pieces of criticism and deciding which pieces are most valuable and most important to incorporate. Because there's always room for improvement in all of us. But for someone who said you never read the comments, you sure do seem to be going off about the comments. So here we go. People were pissed and confused, especially since Hollis has a history of plagiarizing Black civil rights leaders. Remember when she plagiarized Maya Angelou? Remember when she took Still I Rise and put it on her own Twitter and her own Instagram, capitalizing Rise like the name of her conference and her brand, where she was basically like, here's a quote that was about Black civil rights. I'm gonna take it for myself and make it about promoting my brand. So here's the Check Your Privilege podcast. At the time I'm recording this, they're currently live to reacting to this TikTok and talking about like Rachel Hollis and how her comparing herself to these other women and talking about it in terms of relatability is incredibly hurtful, specifically to her Black followers. And so I highly recommend everyone check this out. I'm going to link it in the description below. The people of this podcast did this amazing live stream right here where they talked about it, and now there's another one going on right here, so definitely watch those, linked below. And also, if you want to support the Check Your Privilege podcast, then you can take a look at like their shop over here. You can listen to their podcast. You can become a member. So I'm going to link this page in the description below as well. This account, Jessica Madison Home, also had a really funny post right here about it. Busy being relatable AF in bathroom, cleaning the toilet, possibly throwing the clothes down the laundry chute that have been there for a while, thinking in my head about how cool it would be if I actually organized all of my makeup and skincare and hair care stuff. Probably should dust. It's been a year or two. Did you guys just see that dust ball blow past? Girl, maybe I should wash my face while I'm in here. I just appreciated the parody on that, and I love how she's taking like this beautiful glamour shot of herself cleaning her own toilet. I love it. I love it. I would also recommend everyone follow Myisha T. Hill. She has actually written a lot of comments under Rachel's original TikTok. She wrote a lot of comments there explaining what was so wrong with it. She is one of the hosts of the Check Your Privilege podcast, and she just has a lot of fantastic content on her Instagram as well, along with According to Wheeze, who has also done a great job of calling out what Rachel's behavior is and why it's so wrong. This account called I Am Jam Gamble, she did this story right here. It's a little bit long, but I would say watch the whole thing. She talks about like how she had gone to the Rise conference in the past and what her experience was like there, and how she used to be a fan, and how lately she's been feeling very disappointed with Rachel, especially with that TikTok, and I think she just does an amazing job of breaking it down. So definitely watch her as well, linked in the description below. This account right here called Mother Like a Boss, I loved this quote that she put up here. The weirdest flex in the online influencer and mom space is using your wake up time as proof that you work harder than everybody else. Yes, the time that you wake up does not have anything to do with how hard of a worker you are, with how much of a worker you are. Like I said before, you could be a night shift worker and go to bed at 4 a.m. Someone like me, right? I have multiple physical health issues, and I also have started to take medicine over the past 5 years for my OCD, which makes me exhausted constantly. I spend the hours that I'm awake working constantly, but waking up at 4 a.m. is just not physically feasible for me at this point in my life. I was waking up at 5 a.m. for her morning routine, because originally her morning routine said she woke up at 5, and now she's saying 4. Maybe she changed it, whatever. But my point is, when I did that week of waking up at 5 a.m. to live life like Rachel, I was exhausted the entire week. I got a lot less work done because I kept falling asleep against my will in the middle of the day. So the wake up time isn't relevant. A lot of other people pointed out in her comment section that waking up at 4 a.m. and being a hard worker doesn't guarantee success. Some people said, like, I am a single mother and a teacher, and I wake up at 4 a.m. because I've got to get my kids ready for school before I go to school to teach, and then after that I have to work a second shift on top of that, and I have to raise my kids by myself, so I barely sleep at all, and I can't afford a house cleaner. Like, everyone's circumstances are going to be so different. So that is such a weird flex, and man, I am just not a fan of, like, oh, you woke up super early, you must be morally superior to everyone else. That's some bullshit. Hey everybody, who am I? Am I editing savvy? Am I still filming savvy? I don't know. All I know is that I'm savvy with the small business dinosaur shirt on today because we're supporting small businesses. When does the filming of this video end and the editing begin? As Chuck Tingle would say in his hit classic piece of literature, Pounded in the Butt by My Own Butt, where does the miracle of science end and magic begin? It's a deep question, y'all. But that's what I'm asking myself today, because when will I be done filming this and be able to focus solely on the editing piece? I thought I was going to be done filming after I made the rescue dog video. Then I was like, nope, because then she posted that hot mess of a TikTok. And then I was like, well, now I'm done. Now I'm on to editing. And then she posted a hot mess of an apology. Like, Rachel, can you stop being obnoxious for 5 minutes, just long enough for me to finish editing a video? That is all I ask, dude. Like we've said in the past, Rachel Hollis, author of Girl Stop Apologizing, has been proven once again that the title of her book is not figurative, but it is in fact very, very literal, because the woman just doesn't apologize. I feel like I'm gonna disappoint everybody, because you guys like my channel because it's like, oh, Savvy's so balanced, she's so nuanced, she just delves into the little intricacies of the situation, but at this point, I'm just getting frustrated, man. Yesterday, at the time that I'm filming this, it was yesterday when she went up on Easter. I'm in the ride to the car with my family to go to Easter dinner, where Chewy and Wrigley and Kasha are all gonna play together out in the yard and have a great day. Off to go see my family, when all of a sudden I go on Instagram and Rachel Hollis is like, time to girl start apologizing, and then you read the apology and you're like, oh, if this is what you think apologizing is, no wonder your book was a New York Times bestseller. By the way, I'm going to make a video about the New York Times bestseller list. I think it's pretty much a scam. But that's beyond the point. Some more publishing industry snark for you today. Let's take a look at the obnoxious apology she posted. I don't even know where in the video this is gonna go at this point. This whole situation is a mess, dude. I want everyone to comment below and let me know, do you think she's coming back from this? Do you think this is the official end of the Rachel Hollis reign? What do you think? By the way, if you want to snark on the male version of Rachel Hollis, a man named Grant Cardone, some of you have probably heard of him, you can check out my 10X Me Daddy merch, linked in the description below. It's on the Your Morning Guru merch site for me and RK's morning show. 10X Me Daddy. Anyway, let's go into this non-apology. First of all, can we talk about how she did the most cliche influencer thing possible and posted a fucking Notes app screenshot? I don't even think I have a Notes app. Where is everyone getting this Notes app? I don't know. Is it one of those iPhone only things like Clubhouse? Anyway, let's look at this. I thought that this was gonna lead into more of an apology. She started with "someday I'll learn," not yet apparently, but someday I'll learn. So it does seem like she's starting off by being like, I know that I have messed up and I am planning to learn to be better. That's what I gathered from this first slide. So I thought then when I click on this little arrow to go to the next one, that what was going to happen next was she was going to talk about the ways that she recognized what she did wrong and then what she plans to do in the future to be better. That, based on this first slide, that's what it seems like, right? Nope! Should have seen this coming! She says, "Someday I'll learn that my intent and my impact can be wildly different things. I made a post last week that was upsetting to people, and even though that was never my intent, I own that it was, and I apologize." I own that it was what? Oh, I own that it was upsetting. It sounds like you're saying I own that it was my intent. Girl, get an editor. "Was my post upsetting because I said I have someone who cleans my house twice a week?" This is just such a misrepresentation of the argument. When I saw this part of the post, I went in the comments and I wrote, "Go get a lighter because we've got a straw man. The person who's against me says this, but here's why they're wrong. In fact, no one said that. That's a fake argument. You made that up so that you could win the argument against yourself in the shower, dude. Nobody is mad that you have someone clean your house. The person who commented about it and said that you were unrelatable probably said that because you were suggesting that people get someone to clean their house, and this person was saying, I can't relate to that, I can't afford it, whatever, and you just kind of brushed that off. I've talked a lot about this over the years. I have a nanny, I have someone who helps with cleaning, I have a team at work who helps to build this business, and I think it's crucial that I keep talking about it. I could very easily pretend that I don't have any assistants. Cool, you have a team. And we all knew this already. Why? This is not new information. Yeah, you could pretend you don't have a team, and you do. You do have a team, and you don't pretend. Good. I'm glad. No one, but this is not relevant. No one was ever criticizing you for pretending you didn't have a team when you did, so no one was criticizing you for having a team at all. I assume that as a business owner, you have employees. I'm a business owner. I don't have employees like on my payroll. I have people on contract. So I could easily be like, yeah, I don't do it all myself either. Here are some other people who help me. But if someone was mad at me for something unrelated to that, like, that wouldn't matter. You could also be like, some people might think that I'm really bad at making oatmeal, but I'm actually great at making oatmeal. Good for you, Rachel. It's not relevant to this situation at all. Girl, stop bullshitting. I'm sure it would make my brand more likable and certainly more relatable if I act like I achieve all of these things through hard work and organization, but that's bullshit. You don't have to have a clean house or help with your kids or a business with 25 employees, but if you see those things in my life and wonder how they got there, I want you to know that it's a group effort, a whole village, in fact. Again, people already knew this. If you're trying to apologize, stop stating 2 + 2 is 4. The sky is blue and 2 + 2 is 4. Here's some more random obvious facts that everybody already knew. This isn't related to anything. Yes, we know you have a team. Everyone always knew you had a team. You were open about that from the beginning. No one's mad about that. Was my post upsetting because I mentioned some of my favorite women in history? No, that's not... Rachel might as well be like, was my post upsetting because you thought my eyebrows looked bad? Was my post upsetting because you didn't like how my hair looked? Was my post upsetting because you thought that my lighting wasn't good in the video? Was my post upsetting because I posted it on TikTok and you would have rather me posted it on Vine? Which, that's also not my fault. Vine's been out of business. Girl, not gonna apologize, right? Like, this is what it sounds like to me. She's just like throwing out random things. It's like, were you upset because of this? And people are like, no, Rachel, we were upset because you were throwing your fans under the bus and admitting that everything was a ruse all along, because you were gaslighting people by telling them that you never said things that people have record of you saying and that people built their following to you around you having said before. Now you're just denying that any of it ever happened. People are mad at you because you are lying to your fans with proof. People are mad at you because you're acting like your work was harder than your housekeeper's work by talking about the cleaning toilets, trying to associate it with the what most people would associate as the most disgusting part of the job. People were mad at you because you were talking about the reason that you have a housekeeper is that you work harder and saying that most people won't work as hard as me, when in reality, most people do work as hard as you. Most people work really, really fucking hard and just don't have the same exact resources or opportunities that you have. And Rachel, you could go on all day about how you didn't start with privileges because everything you had was earned, because you were the hardest worker, because you came from a low-income family. Rachel, the fact is you fucked a Disney executive, you got his Hollywood connections, you built your business a lot easier than someone could without him. And I'm not saying that your hard work is Dave's hard work. I talked about this in Savvy Business Owner. I could frame my life as being like, this is what I did, but in reality, a lot of us have bits of luck and privileges along the way that factor into our overall success. That doesn't mean your work isn't yours. It doesn't mean it isn't your accomplishment. It means that when you then try to act like you are morally superior because you've had greater success, then people get mad about it. I hope you understand that difference, but you're gonna take my words out of context too. Now, when it comes to because I mentioned some of my favorite women in history, nobody was mad because you mentioned them. If your caption had been like, hey guys, here are some women that I really admire in history. Happy Women's History Month. Let's celebrate these women for their contributions to society and making the world a better place. But you didn't do that. What you did was make a post about how you're proud to be unrelatable because you work so much harder than all the rest of us and that's why you have more money. And then in your caption, you said, guess who is also unrelatable? These women. I've told you guys, I have OCD and I interpret things literally. I'm very bad at making inferences, but even I was able to infer that you were trying to draw the parallel and being like, I am unrelatable, but guess who else was unrelatable? Harriet Tubman, Amelia Earhart, Marie Curie, Malala. Women who are unrelatable were these other women who overcame systemic oppression to make the world better for other women who created scientific discoveries that increased the quality of life for the entire planet. But you know what? They were unrelatable just like me. Oh, fuck off. You know why people were upset. Just, girl, stop lying. So she says right here, this one is even harder for me because those women are the most badass I could think of. Also, if you're trying so hard not to be relatable, why are you like, these women were badass? Like, I would say that other women are badass, but I admit that I'm a relatable person. I admit that I'm an everyday average person, and I'm not going to claim that I have more right to my success than anyone else does, right? So I can say that. But if you're over here like, I'm not trying to be relatable, I'm trying to position myself as superior, and then you're over here like, these women are a badass. Like, you're clearly trying to do the Steve Buscemi, hello fellow kids shit, right? Like, that's obvious. Am I wrong about that? Anyway, she's over here like, someone on my team said, I think people believe you're comparing yourself to them. Comparing myself to the first woman to win a Nobel Prize? The first and only female monarch in the history of China? To the most inspiring woman in American history who freed herself and then risked her life repeatedly to lead others out of slavery? There is no comparison. I'm glad you admit there's no comparison. Everyone already knew that. I'm glad you recognize it, though. I'm glad you recognize it. However, after this, you might want to say something along the lines of, I did not intend to compare myself to these women. However, I made a big mistake in making it seem like I did because I understand how that is incredibly hurtful and that is entirely my fault for wording things that way. Because here's the thing, Rachel, if you want to be a professional writer and speaker, that means you want to be a professional communicator. If you want to be a professional communicator, if you want people to pay you for your communication skills, then you better be able to convey meanings properly. You better not be saying shit that is offensive to thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of people because you phrased it in a way that everyone interpreted it that way except you. Then you are a shit communicator. You absolutely failed at your mission of being a writer and a speaker if you are communicating things and getting that much misinterpreted. Okay? Understand? Let's continue. To believe that because I mentioned them, I'm comparing myself to them is ludicrous. Where's the apology? Well, you're telling it right here that other people's beliefs are ludicrous. This is basically saying, I'm sorry that you believed that. The way you interpreted that was crazy. This is gaslighting right here, dude. She's basically telling people, if you thought that this is what I meant, you're the crazy one. Well, Rachel, if tens of thousands of people interpreted it that way, maybe you were wrong. Why not just admit you were wrong? Do I aspire to be as brave, as fierce, to live life on my own terms and for other women to do the same? Hell yes, but I cannot now or ever compare myself to those women, and I don't want to. I don't want to try to be the next fill in the blank. I'd like to try and be the first me. Okay, so again, where's the apology? You started this off by being like, well, if you believed that that's what I meant, then you're the crazy one. And then you ended that off with, because I don't want to copy them, I want to be me. You just ended it by making it about yourself again. Ah! Girl, start apologizing. That was where things started, but because I still haven't learned, I didn't respond to these things on Friday that people were upset. I listened to my team instead of my gut. I'm gonna explode, you guys. I'm gonna explode. I listened to my team instead of my gut. I tweeted about this. I'll just read y'all my tweet. If she's this mean to her team publicly, I can't imagine what the meetings are actually like. I run a business too. Yeah, I've only ever hired 5 people. But you know how many times I've publicly blamed them for a mistake? 0. Y'all, over a year ago, I made this video after she plagiarized Maya Angelou, and then her apology, which again was the first indication that she's actually literally incapable of apologizing, was her blaming her team and saying, okay, I'm sorry, but also I didn't actually post it. My team posted it, and then I learned that after that, she fired her social media manager, so she put another woman out of a job because of her, like, I can't believe it. Anyway, she blamed her team publicly instead of, being an actual boss and being a legitimate leader of your company and taking your employees aside and being like, hey, I don't think this is working for our brand or our company, let's talk about it. No, instead she's been publicly shaming her team. So she's up here like, I listened to my team instead of my gut. Basically what she's saying here is, my mistake was that I listened to my employees. This would have been better if I'd handled it myself in the first place. Again, this is about her. She's making it about herself, and she's blaming other people. Good Lord! Whew. Here's the last page of this bullshit apology. I listened when they told me not to respond to let it blow over. I listened when they said they would monitor the situation, which meant monitor comments. I woke up this morning to find that certain comments had been muted on my post, including some by Rachel Cargill and Lovey, who are both women I admire so much, and if they want to tell me and the world I fucked up with something, we should all listen. Where did you say I'm sorry in that? Did she say I'm sorry on any page? Did she ever say the words, I am sorry? She said I apologize right here, but she never elaborated on what she's apologizing for. So Rachel does this thing where she'll be like, I'm sorry, but it wasn't really my fault. Like, I'm sorry this happened, but like, I didn't do it. Like, she cannot accept blame. So over here, let's break this down real quick. The problem of what happened was that there were a lot of other women, specifically a lot of Black women, a lot of women of color, a lot of other women within her field of self-help and motivational speaking and podcasting and things like that, that were on her post, leaving comments basically detailing why what she said was so hurtful to them. So she can't even claim ignorance of why was this so hurtful to people. They were outlining it specifically. They wrote whole ass novels to tell her what she did wrong. So there shouldn't be any confusion. But they did that. And then she deleted their comments. She's saying her team deleted their comments. I don't care who physically clicked the delete button. This is your social media. This is your social media and your TikTok that you cannot blame your team for, because that was you holding up the phone and talking with your own voice and your own face to it. And then the way she phrased it here, when a lot of these women came forward and said, Rachel, I am putting in a lot of effort right now to write you this lengthy explanation to explain to you why this was hurtful so you know what to apologize for and how to be a better person in the future. And she deleted their comments. And the way she phrased it over here was, I woke up to find that certain comments had been muted. Let's talk about this from a writer and editor perspective. This is what we call the passive voice. This is what we call a passive participle verb phrase, okay? I woke up this morning to find that certain comments had been muted. Great. What's the subject of that sentence and what's the verb of that sentence? When Rachel says down here, I fucked up, the subject is I. The subject is Rachel herself. And then the phrase fucked up is the predicate. That is the verb phrase of the sentence. So Rachel saying I fucked up is a very clear sentence. Now let's look at this sentence. Let's just put on our editor hats because as we know, Rachel Hollis needs to get a fucking editor. Certain comments had been muted. What's the subject of that clause? Comments? Is comments the subject of that clause? Well, what are the comments doing? No, comments is the object of that clause. Comments had been muted. Had been muted. But where's the subject? They were muted. Who muted them? Did you mute them? Did your team mute them? See, a lot of people, when they apologize, but they don't really want to take responsibility, when they fake apologize, they come out here using the passive participles. It's like when you hear someone go, mistakes were made, where it makes the object of the sentence feel like it's the subject. So a casual listener will hear the object of the sentence and hear it as a subject, so they don't place you as the subject, so they don't place the blame on you, right? It's like a subconscious thing. She goes, the comments had been muted, so now you're thinking in your head, that the comments are what she's talking about, not her deleting the comments. Hope that makes sense. It is your fault that the comments were deleted. I don't care if your team did it. You don't publicly keep blaming your team. I thought you would have learned this after you plagiarized Maya Angelou, right? I thought you would have learned this after that. But then instead, no. She's still out here blaming her team publicly, blaming her employees. Rachel here says, what you find on my social feeds is me. For better or worse, it's all me. And because it's me, what you're seeing is sometimes great and sometimes the fumblings of being human. Okay, but in your post, you just said that your mistake was listening to your team and letting your team delete comments. And now you're saying that it's all you. There's a lie somewhere in there. Because it's me and not a perfectly polished statement written by a publicist, I'm gonna get it wrong, but I'd rather get it wrong and learn from it painfully and publicly than not show up at all. Rachel, the world would have been better off if you had not shown up on that TikTok at all. That's the thing where she's talking about showing up, like, sometimes the world just doesn't need you to do something. I talked about this in the video with, where I talked about J.K. Rowling being a TERF, and I was like, she could have just not said anything. The world didn't need her opinion on this. She could have just continued to write books about wizard school and the world would have been better off for her not spewing transphobic rhetoric. This is the same thing here. Rachel, no one needed you to show up on TikTok. I'm so disappointed in myself that I let y'all down. I'm so angry that I still haven't learned this lesson. I'm going to get it at some point. Unfortunately, you have a front row seat for how many times I'm going to make shitty mistakes along the way. I mean, at least she admits it's a mistake. However, how about in there, I'm sorry. Instead of like, she's trying to frame this as like, this is all me, I'm pulling myself up by my bootstraps, doing all this work myself. This is the thing I want to talk about too real quick. When I made the video with Camellia a few months ago, we talked together about how Rachel likes to blame her team when something goes wrong, but she doesn't credit her team for everything that goes right. Sure, in her post she will say, I don't do this all by myself, I have employees, whatever. When she's posting bikini photos that are making her go viral, when she's writing girl wash your face and going on speaking tours, she's not out there saying, in every speech at the Beachbody conference, she's not up on stage going, first of all, I would like to thank my team because they are the only reason that I was here today. When a post does well on social media, she doesn't go and have her pinned comment be, thank you to my team who actually posted this and came up with this for me. No. She lets herself get the credit for that. But then when something goes wrong, suddenly she's got a team and it's their fault. So over here, she's like, what you see on my social feeds is all me. It's all me, guys. I don't have a team. It's all me. And then over here, she's like, the thing I did wrong, it was my team. Then, in a surprising turn of events, right before I went to film this, 2 hours ago, this woman, I believe Ali Mudano, she apparently was a former employee of Hollis Company. Now she's posted this picture from the Hollis Company, probably from back when she worked there, that says we're in the business of changing lives, and she gives us the following caption. Okay, I'm pretty nervous to offer any thoughts on a recent blunder made by a company I once worked for and vocally promoted, but my heart is convicted to speak up, and so in my tiny corner of the internet, I will. Brene Brown, the woman whose words introduced me to the idea of personal development, wrote, "It's not your fault you're fucked up. It's your fault if you stay fucked up." With excuse to crass language, this is the quote I often draw from when I think back to my time at Hollis Company. Given my position in the company and proximity to its founder, I have an incredible amount of compassion and empathy for the life and person of Rachel Hollis. I've heard firsthand stories and witnessed real events that help me understand and make excuses for why things were the way they were. Life dealt Rachel a sour hand for the time, and she made what I believed was incredible lemonade with it. But now the mix has proven itself sour once again. Dude, that is beautiful writing. Everyone, follow her, because this woman can write, dude. This woman can write. This woman writes better than Rachel. Why doesn't she have a New York Times bestseller? Why don't I have a New York Times bestseller. Anyway, now all Rachel stans are going to be like, see, Savvy's a jealous bitch because her books don't sell as well. Whatever. Being a jealous bitch is cute on me. I joined the Hollis Company because I believed in its mission. I believed in the collective impact we could make if we empowered women to know that their voices matter. And with every note, every encounter, every conference, I saw that impact with my own eyes. Looking back, I realize now that I attached the work to the wrong person. We weren't in the business of changing lives. We were in the business of elevating one. Oh! Oh! Oh, man! Oh, man, this woman deserves that quote on every pretty graphic with her name attributed and credited properly underneath it, all over Instagram and Pinterest with her tag, because, damn, if that is not the self-help industry in a nutshell. We're here to change your life. No, dude, you're here to make that business guru rich. It's taken me nearly a year of time, a series of books, 1,000 conversations, many with a therapist, to realize what was so terribly wrong with our platform and find the courage to leave. On my last day, I cried tears of relief, sadness, hurt, and even gratitude. Grateful for the colleagues turned friends who worked and weathered and walked this very confusing road alongside me. Grateful for the way that working in a toxic environment forces you to find a meaning outside of work. Grateful for the voice I found to write this post, and ultimately even more grateful that I serve one God who isn't concerned with my status, my popularity, the amount in my bank account, or the trajectory of my career. He commands just one thing of my life, to love him implicitly and to love my neighbor as myself. And I think that that's, kind of speaking to when Rachel tried to reach a religious audience. A lot of people had pointed out that she's doing the prosperity gospel shit like Tony Robbins, right? That she's doing this whole, almost like the megachurch kind of thing where she's invoking religion, but really all tying it back to her own personal profit rather than serving society and serving other people and making it about being truly kind. So I'm going to give this post a like. That was amazing. Had the greatest burn in it of all time. Let's just read that all again. We weren't in the business of changing lives. We were in the business of elevating one. Oh. Anyone out there who's worked for Hollis Company or who's worked for Grant Cardone or Tony Robbins or Jordan Peterson, anyone who's worked for anyone that I roast on this channel, whose NDA, I guess, would allow it. I don't want anyone to get in legal trouble, but anyone who wants to do an interview, literally my email's in the description below. Please hit me up because I love interviewing people and I'd love to share your story. Let's hope the time from when I export this video to when it uploads, nothing else major happens. Let's just hope.
Get you some nuts.
There was lots of memes. Makes me wonder if I should pick up lesbianism.
Chicago, you guys asked for it.
Okay, back to yesterday, Savvy. So that was the TikTok that potentially sent Rachel's career on a downward spiral. What do you guys all think? Do you think that she is going to bounce back from this? Because as a person with a lot of money, it's a lot easier to bounce back from things. What do you guys think is going to happen next? Let me know in the comments below. You guys know I love to give people the benefit of the doubt. I have a ridiculous capacity to forgive people. But at this point, I think I'm just done, dude. I'm just done. There was the whole situation with, the plagiarism was bad, the pyramid schemes were bad. I was like, but at this point, it's like, girl, what are you doing? Thank you all so much for watching this video. I will see you guys again tomorrow. My new schedule right now is that on Saturdays, I stream with RK to write and edit our novel, Cancel Sean Boston, together. We stream on our second channel, the Your Morning Guru channel, at 11 a.m. Central. So join us there if you want to write and edit a book along with us. Our book that we're working on is all about internet influencers and how the internet influencer culture corrupts people. So it's kind of relevant. So we're working on that. And then 9 p.m. Central every Saturday night on my Twitch channel, which is also called Savvy Writes Books, we play The Sims, where me and some of my friends will create some book characters from books that I'm working on, or create multi-level marketing parody things on The Sims, and we have a great time playing that game, so definitely join us there as well. And then on Monday, I will be back live streaming at 8 a.m. Central on the Your Morning Guru channel every day, living life like a business guru, and then have more videos for you on this channel again next week. I'll see you then. In the meantime, please don't forget to support small businesses. Bye, everyone.
Get you some nuts.
My girl comes twice a week.
They're gonna lick some nuts.
Hold up. Spit in my mouth.